So nothing fancy here, just real cooking. It's bringing back childhood memories. These smells, this smell is like summertime at the beach. Hey everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. I hope you have such a good time. You end up sticking around. Anyway, earlier today, I made some homemade tartar sauce and homemade cocktail sauce. And I made it to go with tonight's dinner, which is a shrimp boil. So shrimp boils started, actually, I was reading up on it and pretty much like anywhere there's coast, but I know it's a very popular dish down in Louisiana and Galveston, Texas. I grew up in Houston, so this is definitely a dish that I ate growing up. Traditionally, it's just a one-pot meal where you boil everything in the one pot, you drain it, and you serve it over newspaper. Newspaper is actually kind of hard to come by these days, so I'm not gonna serve it over newspaper. It feeds a crowd. Tonight, I'm only doing it for my family of 4, but you can scale up and scale down as needed, and it's pretty simple, so let's just get to it. Okay, so behind me, and you can kind of see in the corner there, I've got a big pot of water already boiling. A lot of times if you're feeding a party, people do this outside on a propane, special kind of propane thing where they've got like a giant pot. But when you're just doing it for a smaller family gathering, then a regular stock pot will work. All right, the first thing we want to do is I'm going to make up a quick seasoning. I don't really use, traditionally Old Bay seasoning is used, but I don't have Old Bay. I just keep a lot of the same spices. Old Bay actually has a lot more, like it's got cardamom, I think, in it, which I love, and allspice. But so you can use just a Cajun seasoning. You can use Old Bay if you've got it, or you can quickly mix up your own seasoning packet per se. All right, so you're using a generous helping of paprika. So it's probably about a tablespoon and a half. And for, again, you're gonna scale up or down depending on the size of your water. So a couple of good spoonfuls here of garlic powder. Oh my gosh, that just made my nose itch when I opened that up. And some onion powder. You want it to be, this is some dill. You want to be pretty generous with your seasonings because you're flavoring an entire pot of water, and as your meats and vegetables cook in this water, it's going to flavor the meats. This is some celery seed and some ground mustard, which doesn't want to come out. All right, so I'm gonna give this a stir. Oh, and then I've got a couple bay leaves that I'm gonna throw in. All right, give this a stir, and this is gonna be our homemade seasoning that we're gonna flavor our water with. Oh, and then we'll add some salt and pepper when we get over there too. So, all right, let's get over to the pot. The biggest thing about a shrimp boil is the timing. Once you get the timing down, then it's really a simple dinner to make. So along with this pot of water, a lot of people will add just checking my mic. Last night when I was filming, mic went off. Don't want that to happen tonight because I'm really excited to share this with y'all guys. Okay, so what I was saying is a lot of people will put a can of beer. I don't happen to have a can of beer, so I'm going to use some homemade beef stock that I have. You can tell it's homemade because it's so thick. I don't want it to... There you go. Homemade stocks get jelly like this. Yum. So I'm just adding, you could add a vegetable stock, you could add a glass of, a cup or 2 of wine, or you could just stick with your seasonings. I figured it was a good way to use up that beef stock. All right, then I'm just gonna go ahead and dump this entire thing of seasoning in this water and stir it around. Break it up a little bit because it kind of clumped. put our bay leaves in. I'm trying to wait for this to come up to a boil. Going to add some salt. For my everyday cooking, I use something called a real salt. That's the brand name. It's called real salt, and it's a mineral salt that doesn't have iodine added. This one does not have iodine either, but this is just your everyday cheap salt. And it's gonna look like you're putting a lot, but we're not actually drinking this broth. This is just a flavoring agent. So you want to put quite a bit in there, otherwise your potatoes and things like that won't be salty. So that's why you kind of go a little bit heavy on the salt. So once this comes up to, I'm going to gather up a bunch of ingredients, and then once this comes up to a boil, we'll start. Okay, that was actually really fast. It was pretty much at a boil. And I do want to keep an eye on it because I do not want this boiling over. I did the level of my water down low because we're going to be adding a lot of ingredients. I'm going to start off with some potatoes. So I found these really adorable, tiny little white potatoes. They're perfect size. I don't have to cut these up or anything. I am going to go ahead, I know, haha. I'm going to use this to help lower these potatoes into this boiling water because I do not want to splash this on myself. Okay, so this bag is a mesh bag. So I already ran these over the sink and kind of like went like that and scrubbed these potatoes up really good. So they're nice and clean. And going to lower them in to the boiling water. And then I'm going to set a timer for 8 minutes because these are pretty small potatoes. And then we'll be back to add the next ingredient. Okay, so the potatoes have been in for 8 minutes. So now we're going to put some little mini corn on the cobs. These were actually from the freezer section, but fresh would probably be better, but they just didn't have any fresh ones at the store. I think this is more of a summer dish and we're still into spring. Okay, I'm also adding some onion and some whole cloves of garlic, which I could have put this in earlier, but I just decided to do it now. And we're gonna put kielbasa sausage in at this point. Oh my goodness, my pot is getting very full. See, I may have even needed to put in a little bit less water because we still have to add the shrimp. I might have to fish out some of this liquid, which I didn't want to have to do, but it's hard to judge. All right, so we want this to cook for 5 minutes, and then we will add our last ingredients, which will be the lemon and the shrimp. So timer, 5 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay guys, so nothing fancy here, just real cooking. Before I add the shrimp, the timer's gonna go off in a few seconds here. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull out some of this liquid because I have a feeling it's gonna overflow. So is this gonna work? I'm gonna have to use the ladle method, I think. We're just doing it together, people. I'd rather be safe than sorry and not have this liquid go all over my entire stove. And then that way, okay, I can always add a little bit more if I need to, but I think we'll be good. Okay. All right, so as far as the shrimp goes, you really should use peel-on shrimp, but I already bought this shrimp earlier in the week, or actually a couple weeks ago. It's been in my freezer, and it's what I have, so it's going to be used. But yeah, this is already, it's peeled and deveined. So that's what we're using. And this one, it's gonna take, these are still partially frozen, so it might take like 4 minutes or so, but your shrimp is going to take anywhere from, 3 or 4 minutes to cook, and you're just gonna keep an eye out on it, and it'll curl up, it'll go pink. It really won't take very long. Let me get this lemon in here. We're adding the lemon towards the end because that'll help keep it nice, fresh, and bright. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze it and then drop the whole thing down in there. This one's got the sticker still on it. So I'm gonna give it a nice good squeeze. If you add this earlier on, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but the lemon flavor would kind of mellow out a little bit more. So it's a beautiful sunny day. People are not gonna believe that I actually live in the Pacific Northwest, because lately every time I'm filming, I'm like, it's a beautiful spring summer day, or not summer, but spring day. We're having a really sunny spring. So I hope that doesn't mean, whoo, tripping over my stool. I hope that doesn't mean wildfires later this summer. I really hope so, but we did have a very wet winter. All right, I'm going to see kind of, oh, I didn't set another timer. Okay, I'm gonna set one for 3 minutes, but really for the shrimp one, you just wanna keep your eyes out on it. You don't wanna particularly rely just on the timer. Let's go ahead and check one of these potatoes to double. I mean, they should be cooked by now. Yep, perfect. Yay, everything's coming together. It's so great when it works out, right? You know? And then what we're gonna do in a few minutes here, I'm gonna carefully take this over to the sink and drain this liquid. And then I've got a big old serving bowl that hopefully I'm gonna transfer this to. We'll see. And then I'm gonna serve it with some melted butter, my tartar sauce, and my cocktail sauce. Gonna feel like it's summer up in here. This is a great one to eat outside on a picnic table. That's what you usually would do. You would get newspaper and you'd line the picnic table, and then you take this pot and you drain it, and then you just across, the food just goes on the newspaper. It's bringing back childhood memories. These smells, this smell is like summertime at the beach. I'm gonna go ahead and drain this, and then we'll plate it up. All right, so here it is. Hopefully it'll fit in this giant bowl that I have. Oh, this looks so awesome. Oops. Onion overboard here. Wipe this up. And then this is how I'm gonna take it to the table and give it another little fresh squeeze of lemon. And there you go, a southern shrimp boil with some homemade cocktail sauce, which right here, and a homemade tartar sauce. And I will link the video to these down below. I want to say thank you again so much for joining me. I had a lot of fun cooking with you guys, and comment below. Let me know if you've had this dish before, and I will talk to you soon.